First of all, I did like to start being slightly apologetic since a lot of people have been telling me constantly to upload another podcast since after 26th of January when I was in Kolkata. That was the last podcast and that was the last video I uploaded where I was interacting with a few students of the first semester NRS Medical Institute. And after that, I got slightly occupied with a lot of other things in life, so I was not able to upload this podcast. But today I'm back again with another podcast, and I'm really excited for this since this is not the typical stereotyping podcast which I was doing on sales and marketing and life motivation and inspirations, but this is slightly different from what I was doing earlier. And the reason is the podcast today is based on an inspiration and few learnings which I've got from watching a Hindi movie a few days back. And this movie is a direction by the famous director Mr. R. Balki, and this movie is based on a real life story of Mr. Arunachalam, who started a movement to provide sanitary pads to maximum women in this country, which definitely is one of the best social cause I find, along with creating toilets in different places and creating toilets at your home. And another reason why I like this movie more is because 1.5 years back, this issue was not taken up at any place. The issue of sanitary pads and napkins being provided to maximum women in this country out of the 50 CR female population. Because till now 18% of the Indian women population out of 50 crores were having access to sanitary pads and napkins, and they were able to buy them. But now in the last 1.5 years, I've seen major changes, and a lot of activists, a lot of social bloggers, a lot of NGOs have started a movement to provide sanitary pads to the women in this country. The more I like this movie is, this movie has got a twofold learning for all of us, which I did realize after watching this movie a few days back. The first thing is definitely a social cause, which is something we are all talking about today. And this is something which people have started following. And I was even more happy when I have seen Miss Manushi Chillar, after winning the Miss World Award, coming back to her state in India, Haryana, and working with the Chief Minister of Haryana to provide free sanitary pads and napkins to women in the state. And I think she'll be taking it to even a bigger level, and she'll be more successful since a lot of people, irrespective of age, color, caste, creed, sex, whatever, are supporting her to the fullest. This is one of the biggest example of women empowerment and women power enabling massive changes. It really gives me immense happiness. But this is something which has been spoken about in all the channels and all the social blogging networks and everywhere. So my focus today would not be this, but slightly deviated to the other fold benefit and learning which this movie has given is life lesson. Mr. Arunachalam, through this movie, has given us 7 life lessons, which I have noted down, and I thought I'll share it with you, which will definitely become a motivating factor and will give a lot of people the guidance and the way to live and expect and work and do something really great. It's always been said that movies inspire people, irrespective of whatever age group they are, starting from gaining puberty to reaching their teenage life, to the next phase of adulthood, to old age, and all the 7 stages of life which William Shakespeare has mentioned in his poetry. All the world's a stage and we are the mere actors. And he has depicted all the 7 stages, which I feel are inspired by some really good movies, which has good content, which is a kind of autobiography, which is either a documentary or something which teaches you along with fun. And this movie has really taken my breath away. I have also written a blog on this movie and the learnings I have got in the Indie Blogger portal, which I'll be sharing with all of you soon. But today I thought I'll speak about this movie directly, and I would strongly suggest you to watch this movie, since it's not about only the social cause to be known. It's about how you know to run your life. The 7 points which I have known after watching this movie is something I'll discuss today. So moving on, the first point, which mentions, if you have an intention to start something really good, to start something really unique, to start something really new, the people who are closest to you will go against you. I'm not saying it's really going to happen, but you should be prepared if something like this happens. And the same thing happened in the movie. When Mr. Arunachalam started talking about this issue, the women, his wife, his sisters, his mother, no one supported him, because they felt that this is a women issue and men should not be a part of it. Wherein I think it's very important, and this movie also teaches about which things should we be ashamed about and which things we should not be. This is something biological. We don't feel ashamed when we go to the bathroom, right? That's something biological. Then why should women be ashamed of talking about something which is biological? This has nothing to do with so-called religion or caste or creed. I find so many women not going to the temples and not celebrating certain festivals during their menstruation cycle. I do not understand why. This is something biological. If you believe in God, and if God never wanted this thing, they would not have done this menstruation cycle in women. So I think it's time we upgrade our thoughts and we think more practically. And we come up with our own thoughts and own belief and own logic. If we are able to do that, I think maximum people will get out of the, orthodox thinking of this type of things. So, even if our closest ones are not with us, we should never give up. If our closest ones are not supporting us, it doesn't mean that we are doing something wrong. So we should never give up. And if we have a belief in ourselves, trust me, there can't be anything which we can't succeed in. It might take time, it might include 1,000 failures, but sometime the fruit will taste sweet, sweetest than ever. The second point which we learn from this movie is something which Rabindranath Tagore has taught us in one of his music, which says, Jodi tor ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে, in Bengali obviously, Jodi tor ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে, তবে একলা চলো রে. It means, if no one listens to you and no one wants to move with you in something which you have a stern belief in, it's always better to walk alone. Never be afraid of solitude. Never be afraid of moving alone. You are your best friend and you know yourself the best. There might be 10 other people coming and judging you. There might be 10 other people coming and telling you something about yourself. But you have known yourself since the time you were born. And after that, the kind of maturity you get as your age passes by makes you know more about yourself than any person on this world. So trust yourself, and if you need to walk alone, move ahead, but do not stop. The third lesson which I learned from this movie is, if you are not able to find a way, you should start creating your own way. In this movie, when Mr. Arunachalam was not able to understand how to provide sanitary pads to women, and he started, you know, taking samples from a US based company which provides sanitary pads. He went to YouTube and he started searching of how to develop this tool, and he has done every possible way to develop a tool which he has presented in the Indian Institute of Technology College in Delhi, and he won the President's Award. So if you are not able to find a way, if you think that your thought process is not available somewhere, or what you were thinking is not something that you are getting, you should start making your own. It might take some time, but if it takes time to create an example, I think the time is worth spending. So you should start creating your own way and make an example, set an example, and make yourself the proudest person ever. The fourth point which I learned is never stop believing. As I mentioned in the first point, that if you are planning to start something new and good and innovative, you might find your own people moving away and not supporting you and deluding you to a level where you feel you are wrong. But after 10 people moving against you, with patience, you will find one person who will support you. And with the support of that person, you can create a magic. But all you need to do is to believe in yourself and to believe in the situations which will turn the tables around sometime. Just like in the movie where Mr. Arunachalam got a female companion to help him out in distributing sanitary pads to women in that village, and then his orders came from United States and Africa too. The fifth point which I learned is, it's never what you believe, and that is something which this movie has taught us. It's always what you do. And this is one of the reasons I hate debates. In debates, people keep their points and people speak on various issues, be it corruption, be it terrorism, be it any kind of infection that's being spreading all across the country. People just know how to speak, and that's the reason debates are horrible. Instead of debating, why don't we take a step to do something good? We debate on 30 CR people dying hungry, sleeping hungry in this country daily, and how many of us take steps to feed them every week? At least, how many? So it's never what you say or what you believe, it's what you do. Action speaks louder than your voice and your thoughts and whatever. And these type of people don't believe in debating. They believe in doing and proving their point right. And that's what you need to do. The sixth point which I learned is, it was a small part in the movie, but this part was something which caught my interest, and might be the 3-4 minutes part in that movie created a synopsis of the entire movie, from where Mr. Arunachalam also learned a lot of things. The movie, that 3 to 4 minute scene creating the synopsis, goes on to say, if you want to build a company, that companies or any company in the world, the biggest owner and the biggest shareholder of that company is the customer or the customers. And if you need to do something new, if you need to prove something, or if you need to come up with some idea and start selling to your customers, you first need to try that to yourself. You should start analyzing the product and think if this product is going to be any help to you. And if I'm running a business, in order to turn that business into a multi-billion-dollar business company, I need to get that confidence. And the factor which can give us the biggest confidence is if I can sell that product or service or anything to myself, of my company. If I am being able to sell myself, even if I am the CEO or CTO or CEO or a normal sales or marketing person, if I am able to sell that product to myself, I think I am the most successful person running the business. Check if you can sell that to yourself. And if you can create a need of that product to yourself, even if you don't need that product, is what makes you and your company successful. So sell it to yourself, test it on yourself, if required 1,000 times, and then move on with the customer. Last but not the least, what I've learned is, normally when people see money and success, their mind starts getting deviated. And they think that now they have got the power to do anything and to make any decision. I don't need to give examples, since there are many where multi-billion-dollar business companies have been liquidated or bankrupted. So the most important factor in a person's life is, if you are successful after working really hard, or the other way around, you should never leave your earthiness. Be as much grounded and as much down to earth as possible. When Mr. Arunachalam went to the United Nations to give a speech on his invention of the machine to create the sanitary pads, he was just another simple person. There was no feel that he has done something magical. He never allowed any person, and this was not what Akshay Kumar has acted. If another research has been carried out, and if you see the real video of Mr. Arunachalam giving the speech at the UN, you can understand how much ground to earth he is. So success and money should not change your initial nature, which you were or you had when you had nothing. Being grounded and being down to earth will always lead you to success, even if you are the most successful person on this planet. So these are the 7 things which I have learned from this movie, and I think I am able to give you a synopsis which stimulates a synergy of life to understand how to do, what to do, when to do. Thank you for listening to me. I hope this is one of the podcasts which will give you a lot of learning and a lot of positive vibes, and that's what I always intend to do. I'll be coming up with more podcasts, and I'll be trying to make it more frequently. However, if urgent issues come up or some other matters come up which keeps me occupied, I just get a bit delayed. But definitely this channel is not going to be stagnant, and I'm not going to stop in 2018, that's for sure. So I hope you enjoy the podcast, and I'll be waiting for your feedback, like as I always do. And I do get good feedbacks and some negative feedbacks too, but I think all the feedbacks are important. So I would like you to please give me the feedback and discuss with me if you feel there are certain points where I can improve, or if there are certain points which I can do a podcast on, and I would definitely start reading about them and carrying out a lot of research in primary and secondary ways, and I'll come up with the podcast. Thank you, and I hope you have a great week at the workplace. Have a nice day. Bye.